This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with Section 19.83 and 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call shows all members present and the chief and Amy. And now we will go to citizen input. Please keep to the 4-minute limit. Is there anyone interested in coming forward for citizen comment?
Yeah. I just want to address the police department tonight with safety. Pilgrim Road is really getting to be crazy. And I think there should be a squad out there ticketing 3 times now this week. When I got out of Council Bluff to make a left turn, I was approaching the stop sign and the car just cuts right off of Pilgrim Road into my lane to make a left turn. And that's been done 3 or 4 times. That's dangerous. If I were pulling up and not aware of that situation, I'd have probably been hit twice. They're speeding too fast and all these crazy cars. I think that we should be like Menominee Falls is in Appleton, and start ticketing people and getting them used to slowing down a little bit. It's really, I have to wait. I counted tonight to get here. Earlier, I had to wait for 35 cars to come north. And then when the last car came, the next 35 came from the south. It's like a racetrack. It's really something else. So I think it'd be a good idea. It might raise your ticket money and be able to use it for something for the police department. It would be a smart thing to do. Let them see a squad out there a little more than it is. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward for citizen comments?
Scott Heffley, W159 and 10514 Old Farm Road, Germantown. Just, I didn't have a time to read all the pages of what's going on today, but I know an update on police calls to Flower Source. I was made aware by some residents that they are concerned about it, and I think the village has been contacted about that. It's an eyesore, we know it. I mean, there's a lot going on there, and I think it was boarded up, and it looks like there's stuff pulled off, and then it gets boarded up again. I don't know what, it's kind of hard for our law enforcement to sit there and have to, and we got other things, the police besides who's going in and out or sleeping in some temporary shelter, but it'd be nice if we could put something more permanent up there. I don't know what it would be, a metal door or something. I don't know what it takes. And I know we spent a bunch of money, quote unquote, demoing it as part of a developer agreement, which I wasn't in favor of. But I don't know. I'm hoping nothing happens, but it just looks like there's potential of something happening because our law enforcement do a great job, but they can't be everywhere. So I don't know what we're doing or what we're trying to do. It'd be nice to get an update on what the plan is for that property, because if we're going through a process to look at, plans for everything and what it could be and what it might be, that's going to take months and months. So what we're going to do in the meantime, I want to encourage our youth to go in there and think it's a fun Halloween house and get hurt. So I'd like to know. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward for citizen comments? Okay, I do have 2 emails to read in. The first is from Brad Schlag. Good afternoon, board. I grew up in Germantown and my parents, Bob and Sandy, are still there. I am writing on their behalf as well as many of their neighbors whom I have known for decades. They live on Santa Fe Drive just off of Spassland Park where one of the village's emergency alert sirens is located. These sirens go off every single day at noon for 1 revolution, and they do 7 revolutions on Saturdays. This daily activation is disruptive and irritating to residents, particularly those near the sirens. It is aggravating to pets and frightens my mother with Alzheimer's. I have heard many of the people in the neighborhood complain about this over the years and cover their ears as the sirens spin in their direction. Frequent tests cause residents to potentially ignore or dismiss sirens during real emergencies. There is no need to let people know when it is noon in the 21st century, Everyone has a watch and alarm clock in their pocket. Daily tests are unnecessary, and most cities and counties only test monthly. Few even do weekly, and daily is very rare as it reduces the lifetime of the equipment and makes it more likely they will fail. I would like to propose a change, limiting it to one siren test a month. The first of the month or the first Monday of the month are popular options. This would increase siren lifetime, reduce daily noise disruption, and ensure real emergency sirens are taken seriously and not mistaken for a daily test. I believe that Germantown doesn't have its own emergency management department and uses Dane County's. Which entity maintains and controls the sirens? Assuming the village controls them, I would like to get this added to a village or public safety committee board meeting for discussion and/or a vote. It appears I need 2 trustees to sign off on getting an item added to the agenda for either meeting, so I'm asking this board for that. If a petition is needed to show village support, I am prepared to have teams go out and collect those for you. Although this feels like a common sense solution, I doubt it would have much opposition. I appreciate your time and have a fantastic day. The next email is from Bill and Carol Schneider. Hello, happy to hear that you will be having a discussion on the calls, if there were any calls, to the Flower Source property since last spoke about several months ago. Nothing since then. Thank you for doing this. We would like to suggest, until the Flower Source is demo and clean up, we would like to see this on the monthly agenda for both police and fire departments to report on. Also on 10/10/25 at 2:16 p.m., we receive an email from the village stating they were working on applying for grant for the demo of the old Flower Source that afternoon. Has anyone heard anything on this grant yet? Reason for the following up on this grant is pointed. It is an eyesore due to the shade shed for plants knocked down or wind or whatever happened to it. One door was missing and wide open. This is what we could see from driving by the property. These concerns have been taken care of, but don't know if anything else is wide open for someone to get in from the bad weather. Maybe we should walk around the property since we own it. The sooner it is demo, the better it will be for all involved, especially the taxpayers who are on the hook for liable if something does happen there. Believe this was supposed to be done for the grant months ago. Please finish what you start before someone really gets hurt. Oh, by the way, how long has this been going on for? Way too long in our mind. Funny, if this was a resident or business, you bet the village would be all over it. One more thing, the village has a committee called the Building Oversight Committee. Why isn't this committee being used to go over the items for the proposed police department building and locations, or any other buildings? It has been said many times you have committees for different things, then they should be used. Then why do you have committees? Please explain. Thank you for your time, the Schneiders. So we'll move on to meeting minutes.
Move approval as presented.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I'll abstain because I wasn't here.
Okay. 3 yes and 1 abstain. Motion passes. Then we move on to item 5, reports. First will be the police monthly report.
This month, the arrests and citations were up again, from previous years. You have all the information as far as, contacts, calls we've gone on, training that we've done over the past month, the officers that went to training, the types of training that they did, the canine, call outs that we've had, some of the PR events that the canines have attended. I do want to bring attention to one thing. We had an interdiction last month. Out of interdiction, we had approximately 7 arrests for drug violations, OAR violations, warrants, and driving without a license.
Trustee Baum?
Are the crimes up because there's more crime? Or are the crimes statistics up because we have more officers catching people? What do you think?
The crimes are up because of just the people coming to the area. The arrests, I mean, they're more proactive. The officers are making these arrests. A lot of them are off of traffic stops, drug violations, OWIs, revocations. Citations are up because they're writing more citations. The call volume is down because they're spending more time on the arrests. Because they take more time with writing in the reports, sending the DA's office. A lot of stuff is going to the DA's office instead of just writing hand tickets.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? Okay, then we will move on to the fire department monthly report.
Everything from the fire department is tracking as it has been for the last few months. We did have a structure fire last week in the trailer park that displaced the residents. The trailer was a total loss. And the resident of that was transported to the hospital for smoke inhalation. They tried to put out the fire themselves.
Any questions for Chief Delane? Trustee Baum?
Looking at the scene location of fire incidents, seems like our hotbeds are still roughly the senior living facilities.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we will move on to overtime report.
The police union overtime was up this month compared to 2024. The sergeant overtime was obviously down compared to 2024, probably by about $3,000. Some of the overtime costs were due to training, mandatory training the officers needed to attend.
Any questions for Chief Martin? No, Chief Delane?
Overall, overtime was down for October. It was the second lowest month of the year for overtime.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, then we move on to policy updates.
None for the police department.
None for fire.
Okay, we will move on to unfinished business. Item A, discussion on the village's emergency alert sirens testing procedures. This was tabled from last month because we ran out of time. So we're still in the process of trying to figure out what we're going to do, coming up with another option. So we're, I guess, still discussing while we get that figured out. And there's a possible grant for the sirens.
There is, sorry.
Oh, did we applied for the grant, the village board approved it, so the application is in
Correct, we're waiting to see.
till we find out if we receive it or not.
I believe he said December we'd find out.
By December, okay, and the grant is exactly, I wish I could see the specifics of it, I know it was probably in the agenda packet. But it pays for 50% of exactly what again?
It's the upgrade of the siren to make it remote so that it'll be set off by the National Weather Service software wise.
Software wise.
And that's for
So the-
15 sites.
Okay, so software wise, it would upgrade it, but that doesn't address the hardware upgrades or batteries or poles, correct?
Correct. However, I did add next year's battery placement into that grant.
And how much was that?
$1,000.
Roughly 4, yeah.
Then what, but I remember being on public safety and replacing the batteries was over 100,000.
If I may,
You go for it.
that was a number of years ago. And I believe there were, in the discussions with that, all of them had to get replaced at one time due to failure. And there was more to it than that, I believe.
I'm saying this publicly. I wish the village of Germantown would do a better job with their website so agendas can be searched by keywords, like specific agendas. I want to search public safety agenda for specific words because it is tedious going back through all of the meetings, trying to figure out exactly which meeting this was on. I don't remember that we replaced all the batteries. I thought it was only on 2 towers.
No, this was a number of years ago. Actually, this was prior to us even having the Civic Clerk software, so you wouldn't find it on there.
So a number of years ago.
Yep.
So then what am I remembering? Because I've only been here 5 years. Well, actually almost 6. But I remember it was a huge amount that went through public safety for batteries for the sirens.
Yep, and that was quite a few years ago, but I understand and remember what you're talking about. I remember that very well.
Me too. I guess I'll just have to do my due diligence and sit there for hours and search through agendas.
The one thing I would like to mention as far as the testing goes, I did check with some area communities on their testing procedures. There's only one agency that tests like we do every day, and then on Saturday is a full test, and that's Village of Kewaskum. Most of them are testing once a month or once a week, and they pick a select day during the week. Some do a full test and some just do a growl test. The purpose of just the growl test is to get all the motors moving, to clean off the corrosion on the motors so that they don't corrode and we have more problems with the sirens. So my suggestion would be to just do the growl test. Basically all it does is it winds the siren up and then shuts it off, and then it keeps rotating, and then it clears all the motors and the parts off of that.
So I think it'd be fine to do that once a week, not every day. You agree?
Correct, once a week.
So what day would you pick?
Personally, I would pick Saturday, because you have majority of the citizens home. So if one of them isn't working, somebody will call and report that.
So that's the only way we have to rely on if the sirens are working or not is
No,
if
we can look-
residents.
We can look on the computer too, but somebody actually manually has to go in there and look at it then.
Okay, so then wouldn't it make sense to do it like on a Wednesday or something, so it doesn't disturb anybody's weekends?
Good. It depends. If you want to do it on every Wednesday of the week, that's fine.
Since this is discussion only, I will ask the chair to put this on the agenda for next public safety and to make it an action item so I can make a motion. Our hands are tied, this is only discussion.
Right.
Actually, I think we can just change the testing of them without,
Without making a motion? I,
On that.
yeah,
that's
that's,
fine.
You can do whatever you're told.
you
to
can
do.
go rogue and just change it.
I'll check with the administrator, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, we're basing it off of having personnel be able to set it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And if that personnel is not there to set it off, it doesn't get set up anyway. So I think we'd rather go with one time a week and set that time, like a Wednesday. Since it's got to be done manually right now, that would probably be the best bet.
Yeah, since we can't make a motion on it because it was put on the agenda as discussion.
If we have to bring it back, we'll bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, I think for official purposes, maybe we should just put it on there so we can actually vote on it. So it's.
Okay.
We don't get in trouble.
Is there anything else we need to discuss on this actual overall system? Or is we just discussing?
Not really, because we were waiting to find out about the grant. And we know for sure that's the total cost for the software upgrade is 100,000.
Correct.
And it's 100,000 on the dot.
It's just under that.
And let me guess, from Sheboygan Warning Systems?
Correct. I got another quote from Federal Signal also.
Would you mind sending me those quotes?
Sure. The difference between the two of them is that one of them charges a yearly subscription fee, the other one does not. So you'd have to pay the yearly subscription fee on the one.
Okay. But yeah, if you wouldn't mind sending me those quotes. I just love those tornado sirens and learning more about them.
You and me both.
Okay, was there anything else we wanted to discuss with that? No? All right, we'll move on to item B, which is discussion on noise ordinance enforcement. And the reason, and since it's just discussion, we can't really take action, but 2 meetings ago, I believe it came forward because the president wanted us to look at the decibels, like some kind of meter reading, and also we had that one about the lawnmower, so we were discussing that. So Chief Merton had sent us some, I have to find it now, just statistics on actual noise complaints.
Yes.
Emailed.
I checked back from September of last year to September of this year. As far as the lawnmower goes, we had one complaint on the violation of lawnmower. And the mowing began after 6 a.m., which was within the ordinance. Snow removal, there were no complaints. 6 total calls for the parks for music that was too loud. Das Barrel Room, there were 6 complaints there. Only 2 this year though, 4 of them were from last year. Residential complaints, there were like 40 loud music from parties. 2 barking dog complaints, waste management, total of 11 calls, but they're working within their CUP. And then Gateway Crossing for loud motorcycles, 6 calls for that.
Okay, so as far as discussion, I mean, I don't feel from that there's any need to change the noise ordinance as far as lawn mowing. I mean, if anything, it would just move it to be in line with 7 o'clock, whatever the other start is.
But I don't
But-
think we need to go through all of this trouble to modify or amend an ordinance for one individual complaint that we haven't received before.
Right.
Like, there were 6 motorcycle complaints. If anything,
Outlaw motorcycles?
no, I'm just saying that's a lot. Like, was there like something going on with motorcycles?
Yeah, they
6
were.
complaints came in?
And Gateway Crossing, they were at a business up there and they were doing stunts in the parking lots.
Yeah.
Ah, so it wasn't really so much of noise, it was like, what are they doing in this parking lot?
Yeah, and they got them on camera and then they contacted us the following day, so.
Gotcha.
So
Uh,
do we want to do anything
No,
with our noise ordinance?
no.
We don't need to go out and get additional equipment for the police to test and hear. The total number of complaints was somewhere around 20, 25.
And there was such a variety.
And over the course of a year, I don't think it's worth the effort that, is being expended upon it for all this discussion we're having. I wouldn't buy anything new. I wouldn't change anything. Leave it status quo. The police are handling it as they need be. Just go forward from here.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think looking at it from the businesses versus it's hard to look at residential because that's going to be everywhere. But businesses looking at Das Barrel Room having the most, I believe that they were they here recently and, right. But I think that was kind of resolved to where they're open to listening to the neighbors. You're working, the police are working with them as well. So I feel like that's managed as well. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I feel like this is good and nothing else needs to be done right now.
Agreed. Well, we can't take any action anyway because it's just discussion.
Right, but it doesn't need to come back again.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
Okay. So then we will move on to new business, item A, temporary Class B application for St. Boniface Spaghetti Dinner, January 31st, 2026, and this is an action item.
Move approval is presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Move on to new business item B, temporary Class B application for St. Boniface Lenten Fish Fries, February 20th, 2026, February 27th, 2026, and March 6th, 2026, and this is an action item.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Then we move on to item C, which is update on police calls to Flower Source property, and this is discussion only.
I went back to January of 2024. We've had 61 calls at the Flower Source. That's not saying that they're all involving vandalism. 44 of them were property checks by our officers, just checking the property.
Unprovoked. Like,
Yep, just doing their normal
Okay.
checks and checking the
so
property.
40 times officers went there when we weren't called and just checking it out.
Correct.
Out of those 40 times, what did they find?
Sometimes they found broken windows. However, I mean, they may have been reported before that. So out of the 61, there were 5 suspicious calls involving trespassing. I believe there were arrests made on 1 instance, probably the first one.
One.
Correct. There was a sleeping area that was found in there.
When was that?
I believe that was in the spring of the year.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, right?
Very, very beginning of all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there hasn't been much as of late.
Yeah.
Because when I ran the numbers last month, it hasn't changed much. It's usually just the property checks that are going up. There's some traffic stops that were at the residence, basically that was using that location. Parking complaints, a crash was there, a vehicle disabled was there. So out of the 61 calls, 5 of them were actually resulting from like a trespassing vandalism, kids in there without permission. 5 out of the 61.
In 2 years.
One trespass. I thought you said, so
There was 5 suspicious. Some of them were trespass, some of them were vandalism. So I think out of the 5, there were probably like 2 or 3 of them that were actually, kids were there.
okay,
So
so you
there's-
only found somebody on site 2 or 3 times? Oh, since spring? Or since we bought it?
January of
Okay, since
2024.
January, so. In my opinion, that is very little, and yeah, it is literally begging at kids, vandals to go into. That, yes. The faster we get to bulldozing it, the quicker this goes away.
Until we start bringing it forward, bringing it through the system, we can't do anything. So talk to those who are holding it all up.
Well,
Everybody wants to delay on everything.
we did
Make
approve,
everyone-
we did approve money for the demolition and that didn't go through forward.
We can't get the grant for the demolition because we don't have a plan for the property yet.
Right, but we also approved 50-some thousand to pay for
It was
demolition.
like half of it or
Okay.
something. Yes, and we applied for a grant and the grant said, until you have a plan for this property, we cannot give you the funding to demolish these buildings.
So
So
that grant,
literally went away.
no,
Well, it is going away until we make a plan.
the application, I understand, has been submitted
Yeah.
for the grant.
Correct.
Using whatever plan we have today, whether it's Gray Wolf's or whether it's Rinka's, doesn't matter. Here's a plan that we want to do, give us a grant.
I thought we couldn't do that until we had a plan.
I heard that it was being submitted.
All
I
right,
checked
so we
it.
got to follow up. I see President Soderberg is in the audience, and I would like to just mention, hey, would you mind maybe following up with our village administrator on this? Thank you. He said yes.
Said, of course.
Oh, sorry. For the record, he said of course, not yes.
I would like to say that majority of the vandalism and trespassings occurred before it was boarded up by the village.
Right.
Once it was boarded up, I think that kind of deterred the kids from going in there anymore.
And have you ever caught anybody on there having a fire?
Can't recall
Have you ever caught anybody in there living there?
living there.
Yeah.
They had a sleeping area there.
So you found a sleeping area, but nobody's sleeping.
So
Uh-oh,
There he is.
he knew he was being hounded.
Were your ears
Were you
ringing?
listening?
You wanna clarify?
Sure. Yeah, I was just multitasking back in my office, but I was listening in. So a couple of things. First of all, submitted a draft of the grant application to staff from WEDC. And there's some gray area as far as whether it'll be approved or not. I actually did some additional work on that today. I'm hoping to find out within the next couple of weeks whether we'll actually get the money for the demolition or not. So that
So the
is.
grant hasn't
process.
been submitted.
I sent them a draft. So before I submitted it officially, I sent a draft to the WEDC staff who I was talking to earlier in the year and said, kind of explained our situation, said we went through a planning process. That plan was put on pause and we're beginning another community engagement process. We still need to demolish these buildings. Can I modify the first draft of the grant application that we had reviewed with him to just include the building demolition and submit that? So he looked at that. He had some additional questions. I responded. I got some more information today. I plan to hopefully either exchange emails or talk with him again later this week, but we're kind of.
So what did he respond with? Did he say like, you are way out of this field, or are you near?
No,
Close by-
he sent me an email back and said, I think he was a little bit confused about, the process that we were going through. And, so I sent him some clarification. And, also, he wasn't aware, we did get a grant, a smaller grant from the county brownfields, program to do, to complete an additional, asbestos check that's required before demolition. So that's done and
That's done,
completed.
right.
So I sent that information on to him as well. So it's just some things like that. I don't know whether we'll get the grant or not. But we're going through the process and I'm trying to do what I can to make sure.
And this
that-
is Christian that you're dealing with?
No, that Christian is EDWC.
Oh, okay, so this is
Yeah,
WEDC.
WEDC is Wisconsin Economic
Okay.
Development Commission.
All right.
The one other thing, just clarification from something I heard back in my office. There was approval from the board to spend funds for demolition, but that was part of a TID project plan. And when the TID creation process was put on hold, so there's kind of authorization to spend it, but there's no money behind it. So that's why we haven't gone ahead and just used village funds for it.
Okay,
So it is an option if the board would want to direct staff to say, hey, we just want to get these buildings down, go and spend the money to demolish the building out of village funds, that would be an option. But I guess my recommendation, and hearing the police report, and we've been following this closely. We had DPW do more to secure the buildings earlier this year. I think we ultimately will get some grant money for this. So at least there's enough of a possibility. I think we should pursue that before we spend village funds to do that.
okay.
And if we were to receive the grant, do you have any sort of estimated timeline as to when we would receive it and then how soon after that it could be demolished?
I think once it gets approved, and we do have a quote from a demolition vendor. Actually, one of the things I did today was just I reached out and asked him some of those same questions now that the wheels are in motion. First of all, checking, is this quote still good? Would you still do this work? And I haven't heard back from him yet, but I think that it'd just be a matter of, once the grant gets approved, getting him scheduled and getting them in. So hopefully that could be done pretty quickly.
Well, wouldn't we get more quotes than just one?
Yeah, multiple, that's.
We did
We
go
got
through, this
multiple.
was, and this was by far the least expensive quote that we have
Okay.
gotten in
Okay,
the past. So I'm kind of
Gotcha.
hoping that he'll still stick with the dollar amount.
okay. Well, since this is again discussion only, I can't get that started for you and make a motion and get that ball rolling. So,
Yeah, could we try to have an update again next month?
or put it on the agenda for action.
Sure. And at the direction of the chair, we can put things as discussion, we can put things as action, we can put them as discussion and action. So we can, however, we can, but if the chair would like, we can put this on the agenda next month again.
Action,
Trustee Baum?
action for what? Are we the authorized agency to say tear down the buildings? We're here to talk about the fire and police department and whether they've done reports in there.
You could, like, one thing you could do is you could make a motion to forward this to the village board with a recommendation to use village funds to demolish the building, if you prefer to take that route.
Okay.
So it's just as an example of what you could do for an action item.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Chief Delane, did you have anything to add on this?
I do not.
Anything else? All right, well, that was the last item on the agenda. The next meeting will be Monday, December 1st at 6 p.m. in this room, and this meeting is adjourned.
He said because he would need, somebody would need